Hello, I am Sarah Stevenson, a public speaker in philosophy and religion and a host for The World and Me.
And I am Tara Vandervliet. I'm a pharmacist currently working in global health, and I am also a host of The World and Me.
We are here in beautiful Geneva to begin exploring the question, what is the foundation for human moral values? Through the work of a charity called Global Leadership Geneva Bern. We are going to hear how two people, Dr. Benjamin Levi Moses and his wife, Dr. Jessie Benjamin, came all the way from growing up in India to meeting regularly with ambassadors and diplomats of the United Nations. We are so excited to capture their story and to start exploring the Series 1 question.
Yes, but first, welcome to Switzerland and welcome to Geneva. This is the city and the setting in which our guests live and breathe. So we've come to take in and understand more of this amazing culture. Geneva is a truly beautiful city, notably with Lake Geneva and the amazing scenery of the surrounding Alps. Geneva also contains very interesting museums, such as the Patek Philippe Museum, where you can learn about the history of watchmaking.
Or you could visit CERN, where the World Wide Web was developed, and most famously contains the world's largest physics lab, providing research on how the universe's fundamental building blocks work. They have a large hadron collider that smashes subatomic particles across a 17-kilometre tunnel between Geneva and France. As you do.
Amazing. The wonderful thing about Geneva's location is its proximity to mountain towns, including in the surrounding Alps. One of our favourites is Chamonix in France, where we've both been travelling prior to this visit. Chamonix is located beside Western Europe's largest mountain, Mont Blanc, and you can check out our photos of Chamonix on social media and in our places section of the website.
I want to go! But Tara, Switzerland runs to time.
It does, Sarah.
And we have also been given a time budget for this exploration. So we have 3 days to have 3 conversations and to take in as much of the Genevan culture as we can.
I've got my walking shoes ready.
We are aiming to enjoy 3 key areas, walking around this glorious lake, seeing the old town of Geneva, and then exploring the diplomatic area.
And Sarah, in returning to why we are here, this is the city where many people strategize around peace building, most notably with the presence of the United Nations office, and actually the office for the High Commission of Human Rights is also close to us now at Lake Geneva. Actually, I think it's that side.
Yep, other side.
Whoops. In fact, there are several hundred NGOs based in Geneva, including the Red Cross, and there's even the Museum of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, which is well worth visiting. It's a museum documenting their important and necessary work with numerous stories of human rights abuses and what their interventions were. We've truly come to one of the world's capital cities of diplomacy and peace building.
So given all of this, we think Geneva is the perfect location to explore what is the foundation for human moral values. Should those working towards diplomacy and peace building be influenced by the Christian worldview? And following that discussion, does it work for us individually to place our hope, purpose and meaning on the Christian worldview? Or can we rely on reason and science alone? In the West, some hold the belief that we can just reason our way to the values that we want to live by, and we don't need religion to provide us with that framework. And I'm looking forward to listening to how our guests respond to this secular assertion.
Yes, and we do want to explore this question with real stories, lived experience, and practical examples. So that's why we've come to Geneva, to have conversations with those who are working with the ambassadors and diplomats of countries from all around the world. Here, their decisions are crucial. Emergency councils are formed, responses to wars are made, decisions around human rights are aimed at trying to influence every kind of government around the world. Are diplomats and ambassadors influenced by the teaching of Jesus as they think through their important decisions?
We're here to capture the stories that will help us think through what the foundation is for our human moral values. And we are here to take in the setting in which our guests, Global Leadership Geneva Bern and the diplomats live. We've got 3 days, Geneva. On y va.
Let's go.
Let's go. So welcome to Geneva Airport Station. We've come all the way from our flight right all the way to the train station. And in looking at the board, every first stop takes you to Geneva into the city centre, so you can't go missing. Straight from the plane to the train.
And the great news is that you can travel around with a free travel card. How do we get that though, Sarah?
So once you've purchased your accommodation in Geneva, you'll get an email through with your Geneva transport card. Just make sure that you fill that in and validate it by putting your name in and your email address, and that's you. Every tram, every train, every bus, Geneva is yours. Well, why not sample the Swiss delicacies?
Chocolate? Coffee? Cheese?
You're just saying coffee because...
Yeah, I need a coffee.
Yeah, you need a coffee.
I desperately need coffee.
You're like running out of caffeine. It seemed to be down that way there, to the right, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's a really cute coffee shop just there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we just go there then? Oh,
How do you say that?
Oh, Martine?
Or Martine? I wonder who Martine is.
I don't know, but you're certainly hoping that at 11:10 she's going to caffeinate you.
I certainly hope so.
It's raining!
You don't have to run just because it's raining.
We do!
No.
We have to think strategically.
About what?
Because if we have a time budget of 3 days,
I know, it's not long.
it's not a lot of time.
Especially if we're getting conversation in that time as well.
That is why we're here, ultimately. We're here to get the story, the experience, the on the ground, lived reality of what it's like for the diplomats here.
Yeah.
Because Jessie and Benji, they're friends with them. It's day in, day out conversations.
Yep.
They're helping them in crisis scenarios, as you can imagine, in being an ambassador of a country to the United Nations or to being a diplomat. You're dealing with crisis, emergency, discussions, conversations over the tables, and that is a very high-pressured, stressful environment. And this is why we wanted to connect to this charity, because they have that relationship, that insight with those diplomats that they're really going to help us to wrestle with our questions through their stories and through their experience.
And it makes sense, right? Because, like, you know, a lot of sport teams or even schools and people like that, they have chaplains who help them through stressful times. Like, you know, you lose a sport match, obviously, you're more of a sport fan than I am, but, like, you know, that also plays on people's emotional and, like, state and things like that. So having someone to help support people through those difficult times, I guess, in a way, I'm guessing is kind of like what Benji and Jessie do for the diplomats. Now, Sarah, you've actually got something pretty exciting confirmed.
Yeah.
What is happening?
We've got a surprise third guest, because you and I, me and you,
Okay,
we're not
what are we
only
doing though?
celebrating our coffees this morning, we are getting the chance to speak to a director of UNITAR.
That is pretty cool.
Very cool. So, yeah, a diplomat all the way from Ecuador
Wow.
is getting you and I into a UN building for an exclusive interview with him.
Very cool.
And I'm so excited to hear what he's going to say.
Yeah. So Sarah, it sounds like we've got our 3 key areas that we're going to go and see within the next few days.
We've got the old city,
Very cool. Number 2, the fountain, or as you call it,
Jet d'eau.
much more eloquent.
Water jet.
Yes. And number 3 is this diplomatic space that we've just been talking about. So we have 3 days to see those 3 places and basically have 3 conversations. Benji, Jessie,
And our special guest.
Very exciting. All right, so we've got 3 days, 3 locations, 3 people. You might need to drink up, and let's go.
Let's go. Hello.
Hey, Hey, Sarah, good
So
to see
good
you.
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
Welcome, welcome.
So good to be back.
Thank you.
Hey, Benji.
Good to see you.
again.
It's so nice to see you too.
Yeah.
Welcome to Geneva.
Yeah, finally the sun is shining for
Yeah,
us.
it is. So I'm here.
Yes.
Geneva is an international city, very exceptional city, and also it's a city of reformation. It's a pretty influential city, but also you might have noticed it's also an expensive city.
Yes.
We have noticed.
So, well, I
The
have
chocolate.
The chocolate, yeah. But there are many favorites. But for me, there are two places that are very significant. One is the lake,
Yep.
which is the calmness of the lake and the beauty of it, surrounded by mountains. And then the second one is here, the broken chair. A little bit of the background. I don't know how much you know of the broken chair. This broken chair was built by a Swiss artist by name Daniel Berset in the year 1997. It's actually for two purposes. One is to bring awareness about the impact of the landmines and the cluster bombs. And then it is also called for the nations, as there are 193 member states or nations represented here in Geneva. So it's a call to abolish landmines and that civilians won't suffer. And they did it together with the Handicap International. They commissioned it. And so that's why this is set up here, because many nations who come here at the Human Rights Council, they are looking for peace. So we have a great mandate and an opportunity and a privilege, I would say. So that's why this is one of the significant places, a beautiful reminder of what we are called to do.
Yes, we're really excited to press into your story and your organization's story.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
As a philosopher, I'm so excited to press into our question, what is the foundation for human moral values? But I'm holding my excitement back to find out more about your organization.
Can you tell us what is this organization? Where did it come from? What are you doing?
Global Leadership Geneva Bern, it's a leadership ministry of Crew or Campus Crusade Global. Okay. So this is based in Switzerland, Global Leadership. It's a ministry that serves the community of ambassadors, members of parliament, senior diplomats, and also business leaders. So we foster leaders' excellence in nation building. So we serve this community spiritually and professionally through various means. We have so many programs offered to them. And I can tell in detail about the work that we do through Global Leadership Geneva Bern.
Let's press into then a specific example. Tell us about one of the central ways that you interact with the ambassadors and the diplomats.
Mm-hmm. I think things does not just happen like that. You see, building trust through relationship is so important. You see, the most influential people are the least reached, and they are the most lonely people. And so it is very important to connect with them at a heart level.
Why are they lonely?
They are lonely because they're very busy. And they have a burden that they are carrying that is so much from their national perspective, the burden of their whole nation. When an ambassador comes to represent their country, he or her, in Geneva, for example, this is a multilateral work. They are appointed as permanent representative to the United Nations and the international organizations in Geneva with 193 other member states. So it's a huge mandate and responsibility that they carry, and they are responsible for their nation. They are the voice of their nation here at the multilateral diplomacy. So it's a huge responsibility and huge burden. And so they don't have time, first of all, because they're busy with a lot of meetings. And there is so much that's going on at the Human Rights Council and many other meetings and international organizations and UN agencies that is represented.
And can I jump in there? Because you mentioned like over 193 countries as well, and how lonely that can be for the diplomats. I imagine too, it would be hard in some ways to be apart from your country as well. Like they're representing their country
Absolutely.
here in a culture that, like we've learnt about with you in India, is so different to the culture they've come from. So like I imagine that might be adding to the loneliness, would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, since they have to leave their country and then come and to adapt to a new culture, and they are not staying for a long time. Some of them stay only for 4 years or 5 years.
Wow.
And so then they have to keep moving to another country and so on. So the move itself, it's very demanding, and especially when they have children and family, it's not easy to get into different cultures and learn the language. So it is a hard thing for an ambassador, with the position coming and working here in Geneva. So that's one of the challenges. There are many other challenges as well, but also it depends on countries to countries, on which country that the ambassador is representing here. So that's also another problem. And then you see, I think it is your Prime Minister in the UK, Edward Heath, the former one. He has given a beautiful definition of a diplomat. He said a diplomat is a person who thinks twice before he says nothing. So, you see, that's the
Diplomacy.
art of diplomacy. Although it's kind of an exaggerated, that's certainly true, because an ambassador, is not a politician to say whatever he wants to say. He can only say, or she can only say, what the country wants them to say. Even whether he agrees or not, that doesn't matter. That's the position of an ambassador. You are representing your country in another sovereign country. And here in this setting, it's a multilateral diplomacy. So that's also very hard for the ambassador. Maybe that ambassador might have a personal conviction on something, but he has to say something that's very different from his or own conviction. It's very hard. You see, these are small but big challenges, and they don't have any friends to talk about. And
so coming back to Sarah's question, is this where Global Leadership Geneva Bern comes in? Like what are some examples
exactly.
that you're...
So what we do is we start with a courtesy call. Whenever there is an ambassador who comes, we have a database. We know when an ambassador is coming to Geneva, and so we call them for a courtesy call to visit and to tell who we are and the purpose we are here. We are not going to, usually many people go to ambassadors and say, could you please help us? We have this project or that project. We want this to do. But we don't go with that attitude. We go to say, how can we serve you? We are here to help you. We are here to serve you. So that is a kind of a shock for them. Wow, who are these guys? What kind of help do you want to serve? Of course, we have a credibility and visibility of our work here in Switzerland, in Geneva, and also in Bern. So the ambassadors, they know our work, global leadership. So, and then immediately they tell, okay, why don't you come and meet our ambassador? So, and then Jessie and I, we go and meet, and then we tell who we are, what we do, and so on. And this is how we start our relationship. And the conversation does not really happen in a way that immediately you just have an open door to everything. No, there is a sequence of how things falls in place. Although it is not a generalization, but mostly, you see, there is a protocol. How do you approach an ambassador? How do you call an ambassador? You see, we need to respect that protocol. You say, Your Excellency, and so on. But at the same time, when you meet, you are not going to talk about how is your family, or whether you have children or not. And those kind of questions never come into picture. You deal on a very high level from nations and what's the problem in your country and those kind of things. So that's where you relate vis-a-vis with that ambassador when you talk to them, and then you get to know what is happening in their nation and how could we really help and support. Mostly what we support that we offer is through prayer, through counseling, through mentoring. In some sense also practical ways also we help. And then when we build that bridge of friendship, I would say, and it takes time, and then it moves on to personal conversations. You see, that comes from head to heart, and then it says, then even some ambassadors would allow you to call by name. Usually you never call like by first name. That's a protocol, and we respect that. They also don't do that. So then you say, why don't you call me, say, Sarah or Tara? And I say, call me Benji. You see, then it gets very personal. And then you move on. And that's where they open up to share. You see, we are human, that sometimes we bury our humanness with the coats and what we wear, ties, and the polished speech and so on. But then that and all, it goes off. When it comes to this level, that's where we come very deeply into them. I tell you, this has been such a blessing for many ambassadors. I can't get into the details of it, how they're opened their heart to share, and that we can be a blessing in their life to take the journey forward. That's a personal thing.
So would you say the key aim of Global Leadership Geneva Bern is to become, you could say, like a friend to the diplomats in order to bring support to them as they be in this place carrying the burdens for their nations?
Yes, that's one of the key. That's the starting point for us, is to connect. The connecting part is where, like building trust through relationship. So they know, or, if you come with a vested interest, you can smell it from distance. So you know that there is something. But we don't go with
vested
any
interest,
Yeah.
meaning that you're trying to come with your
agenda and try to get help, or I don't know. So we don't go with that. So they would immediately get it. They know that, okay, these guys are into serious business. And of course, and then as I said, the conversation comes to the personal level. And then we take one more step also to go into the gospel and faith, and all those things comes into picture. Who you are, what you do. Global Leadership is a Christian organization. It's an organization that it comes with the Judeo-Christian values, and that's what we represent. And then they are slowly introduced to many of our programs. And we do several programs. If you want, I can tell some of them.
Well, over the past maybe 5 years or so, we've had a collaborative friendship, and I've seen you and Jesse in action, both in hosting events for the ambassadors, the events that you put on for them to bless them. We can talk about that. And I've also witnessed you over the table in conversation with a particular ambassador. Obviously, we can't go into the details of that. But I think maybe these are two examples that you could give us some explanation for. What does it look like to put on an event? And what did those conversations look like?
Yes. All our events that we do for the ambassadors community is mainly, it's a value-based, faith-based. It's not religious in its sense. We translate values into a setting that can translate to everybody. Most of the ambassadors who come are from different religions or no faith and so on. But they appreciate what we do because we are very genuine in who we are, in our identity and what we present. So we don't compromise on those things, but we come with gentleness, with love, and with truth. So that really opens the door for us, and they keep coming. So we do roundtables, for example, on different topics like nation building through education, or peace building and reconciliation. Many relevant topics to the ambassadors on nation building. Truly, they are like-minded, big businesses in Switzerland, but how they treat their stakeholders, and how they care for the people and the customers, and what they do with the profit and so on. See, we live in a culture driven by speed and greed and so on. So that is the exposure they are used to. And when they go and get exposed to this kind of a business, and this business of 150 years old, and they're multinational companies, and they run based on values, not driven into this kind of a greed and, and the way how they treat. So they come to a different shaping of paradigm of mindset to understand, wow, there is also such companies that exist. And it is not just always about making profit, money, but it is also people. It's also the value and worth that they give to the customers. So we give that kind of an exposure as well. So every year we do like 2 or 3 or 4 Business Connects event, and sometimes one event a year or so. But this truly helps them. But then we do roundtables and think tanks. And also, we also do what we call the Policy Institute. This is the Global Leadership Institute here in Geneva, where we train young leaders, emerging leaders, and established leaders, which you both had the opportunity to be there last year. So we bring in leaders from different spheres of influence, like business, education, health sector, and politics, and to come and talk about how they run how they set policies for these spheres based on values. So what we do in the Institute is how do we translate biblical values into policies and practices that can be translated in a national context. We have great stories of how some of them have gone and changed some of the bad influence or policies that were set in place to something good in different countries. Even we have stories of how people have gone back and to their countries and become presidents of their nation. So these are very encouraging. But this is a hard way to go. It's a narrow path to walk. It's not a cakewalk. It takes time. It takes also relationship. It takes time to go on your knees to pray for these people that you are meeting them. It doesn't just happen, okay, now I am going to an ambassador, take a picture, and no, it does not work that way. We keep a low key. We don't expose them. We don't talk much about those things. And coming to your question about this one experience, sometimes how do we bring the truth in a loving way, but also in a courageous way? It's I would say the balance of having the spirit of a lion and the lamb at the same time that works in balance. You see, this ambassador that I'm referring to, he comes from a very challenging country.
Yes.
And I would have had like 100 lunches or dinners with him. So he's a good friend. And one day he looked at me and he said, Benji, how come you are always smiling? Because he was always, he would, if I shake his hand, it's always sweaty. Because the whole media is upon him. Every word that he says is so, it can take it into any way. And, he's so scared. Of course, absolutely. His life is in threat and so on. So he said, how come, Benji, you're always smiling? So I said, his name, Excellency, I said, because I love God, I fear no man. So this is something for him, it struck so deep. Because for him, there is no concept of God exists. The person whom he believes as God is his leader. You see? So, these are small things that opens the door for conversation. And I tell you, there are a lot of stories that I can tell about.
Yeah, I have been amazed at attending some of your events with ambassadors representing so many nations to see the impact that you have. But what I've been even more fascinated by is the simple way you have befriended them and that you have conversations over the dinner table.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that side of it. How does that even give you a door into the diplomatic space through that conversation?
Yeah. The pressure that they have is enormous. Once they know that you have a heart to care and to serve and to give, you would be amazed of what comes next. I can tell you, I received a call, this was 4 years ago during pandemic. By the way, our house was open with all restrictions and so on for many ambassadors and diplomats who came to our home for in tears and counseling and so on. He called and said, Benji, I want to come to your home. I said, Excellency, I'm coming to Geneva. He said, no, I'm coming to your home. And I know there is sense of urgency in his voice. And so I said, okay, our house was not, young people were using our house. So I said, let's meet
Not for you, Excellency.
Yeah, let's meet at a restaurant. So we met. And then he says, Benji, I don't want to live. I want to die. He's a very senior person. And if you look at this person, you would see how much of accomplishment he has done for his country. But to the heart of the heart, you see the problems that lies so deep. He said, Benji, I want to die. I don't want to live. And of course, I have to take him through the journey. He's still here. And it is, you see, these are very, very subtle, deep, vulnerable moments. And that I consider as a privilege and opportunity to serve. At the heart of heart, I also know that I am also a human. It's you see, that's the beauty of it. So, and of course, we do provide bigger platforms to, like Christmas banquet, for example, where we bring, and of course, Christmas is celebrated, And we tell the message of the Christmas. We have in our events like 30 to 40 to 50 ambassadors who would come from different nations that they would not even interact normally at the United Nations.
And
But
different worldviews,
different
beliefs,
worldviews, different,
non-Christians.
of course, countries in war and so on. But we are not observing diplomatic protocols in that sense in some of our events, because we come on this event, Christmas, is under the Lordship of our Lord Jesus Christ. So that unites us together. So that puts aside all the barriers, whether war or anything, because they come just as friends. And that's a beautiful opportunity to sit together at the table and to talk. And then you carry on with the personal conversation at the people level.
Yeah, it just seems that trust has been at the forefront of what you do.
Absolutely.
Being genuine,
Yeah.
and then the realness of their situations almost come to you, and in that way you breathe this influence.
Yeah, and I think, Sarah, that word genuine is quite important there, because I think, Benji, it's so clear that you and Jessie, your wife, have such a heart to care for these people. You're not doing it out of your own ambition or even to climb the ranks yourself, sort of thing. You're genuinely there to serve. And I think Sarah and I have both seen that through our interactions with you in many different ways and over the last few years. So yeah, thank you for, what you're doing. And I think it's really, opened my eyes even in this conversation to sort of realize that people in power and influence are still human. They still have their, lonely times and difficult times, and we do need each other to get through some of those times. So thank you for, giving us a little bit of insight to there. Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
I just want to tell that another thing is also, how do you empathize with these people? And Jessie and I have gone through this journey, leaving our home, being in another country, going through challenges. So this also helps us to identify quickly with them. You see, because they, as you said, they also leave their homes and come. And so that is also, we come very handy to this. People they know that, okay, they have been through this journey, so they would be of some help. So in that sense also, it's really nice to empathize, and they can relate, and then to build trust as well. Yeah. Sorry.
And it's funny how people who leave their home tend to gravitate to other people who've left their home,
Yes.
because all three of us have actually left our homes.
Oh yeah.
So there is, that
Absolutely.
common factor there that feels like you're in amongst friends and family.
Kindred spirits.
Yes.
So Benji, you've told us some of the amazing things that Global Leadership Geneva Bern is doing, from the roundtable sessions to having dinner table conversations with people, and really just being there as a friend for the diplomats, and especially as they do struggle through the loneliness and the things like that. So there's some of the challenges that the diplomats face here, but as an organisation for Global Leadership Geneva Bern, do you have any challenges as an organisation, and sort of how do you wrestle with some of those and maybe, fight back on some of them?
Yeah. It's a very good question. Even before I talk about the organization struggles as well, but even to the identity of who we are, for me personally, I'm not a diplomat. So you might ask, Benji, do you have a diplomatic career working with an ambassador? No, I don't have. Then why am I doing this? How am I relating to them? So when the organization said that, okay, you are the man who wants to lead this ministry, so I gladly took it, because I'm a very relational person. I thought, who cares? I can go and knock anybody's door and talk about Jesus and so on. But that was not easy. And I went to Washington, D.C., New York, to have a kind of a vision casting, how they do in different countries, our organization. But I'm coming back, I really felt that I can go and jump and turn the UN upside down. No ways.
Change the world?
Change the world. That didn't happen. I mean, it took some months even to get one contact, I would say, more than 3 to 4 months. But it also made me to humble, because I was very much of... it comes from a place of arrogance. Oh, I can do it. You see, of course, I'm qualified. I'm a people person. I love God. And so why not? I can just do it. But God has to really bring me to a place of an altar of humility, in a true sense, that without Jesus, I can do nothing. I'm a theologian. I know that it is through Jesus I can do everything. And that's how I went on my knees, and then I really bring everything to the Lord.
He opens the doors.
Yeah, he opens the door. I tell you, incredibly, every story has a divine connection, every meeting. So that also makes me and Jesse and our team to remain humble. You meet the presidents or prime ministers, yes, so what? There is a purpose to it. It's not just me as a person to it. There is a vision to it. So we work for that greater vision that God has called. So in that challenge, I faced a lot of challenges. And then as an organization as well, we don't have that kind of qualification or training to reach out to such level leaders. They are the niche, very small groups of leaders. But we learned through, I would call, divine mistakes and several mistakes that has happened in a good way, and God opened the doors. The first thing I told when I came to Geneva, I didn't say, God, please open the doors so that I can walk in and have my way. I said, God, show me the problems of this community. And that's where I start to really realize, and not only the problems in general, but also specific to Christians working in diplomatic service. And that's how I got to know 3 groups of Christian leaders and their challenges and so on. How for many people faith is not relevant or it does not really work in the public sphere. It is a private matter and so on. And so that's why we started the weekly Bible study groups for the senior diplomats at the United Nations. I would say these are the foundations that really changes. It's truly, genuinely, these people come to pray for their community. It's, literally heart for their community. It's not just, coming with an attitude, we are right, we have the answers. No, truly love one another, truly care for other people and bring the love of Christ in a beautiful way. And to live the principles that Jesus taught and in the workplace.
So are you saying that in the United Nations, a place where right now as we speak, the Human Rights Council is happening, in that building, there's Bible studies happening and there's prayer meetings happening?
Absolutely.
Is that the reality?
Yes, there is in that building. You see, United Nations is scattered. There are 15 UN agencies. And one we are going to start this month in another United Nations agency, a Bible study for the senior diplomats who wants to come. As I said, they're very lonely. And this is a community that really comes together to pray and then to practice and then to change the community for good. And that's what I said. I do believe that changes can happen in a visible way through demonstrations or through policies or through track 1, track 2, whatever you call it. But I also believe that how God can break things from within through relationships. This is not much you will talk about diplomacy. This happens through friendship. This happens through relationship. How God works through heart and how He changes everything. It's, as I said, I'm not denying the fact that how nations work on peace and so on. But this is also something that we call the Hope Teams, the Bible study groups. Incredibly wonderful people.
Yeah. Wow. And diplomats that speak all languages, intelligence, which is absolutely astounding, and yet some of them are connecting to these groups that are happening.
Yeah, they are very busy people, but they know the significance of it. They don't miss it. If they are not traveling, they are there. This is during lunchtime. It's a short one, 1 hour. Just be precise. And
I love that you say short is 1 hour.
yeah, the thing is that they need it. I mean, everybody wants to talk about it. They want to pray. They want to really tell about their stories and how do we, in their decision making, policy making, because they are in a position that every day they sit where they decide about education, health, policies for weather control, climate, or labor laws, or everything you talk about happening here. And nevertheless, if you are not knowing where you stand, where you come from, you just go with the flow. See, that's how. I remember one leader asked me, Benji, I know that I'm here as a senior leader, senior diplomat. I'm involved in decision making every day, but I don't have any support, either from my church or anywhere. What can global leadership can do for me? You see, that's how we introduced her to our weekly Hope Teams and Bible study groups and so on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, Benji. You guys are doing so much in this space, and it's so evident that the ambassadors and diplomats are under an immense amount of pressure. I think it's such a great reminder for all of us that, you know, people in spaces of influence and power, at the end of the day, they are still human, and they do still have emotions and lonely thoughts and, you know, need a friend there as well. And it's amazing to see the work that you and Jesse are doing to be that friend on the ground.
Yeah.
And
not only me and Jesse, we have a team.
And your team.
We have Thomas and Marlis doing that same thing in Bern.
Yeah.
But they are working with the bilateral ambassadors and also with the parliamentarians in Bern. So he has got so many stories to tell.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Goodness, between all of you, we could be here for days.
So just to explain to our viewers, Geneva has diplomats and ambassadors, and so does Bern. So what's the difference in these two cities?
Yeah, good question. Every country has a capital city where an ambassador is sent to the other country to represent their country. They are called the bilateral diplomacy. They are bilateral ambassadors. They are country to country. For example, the ambassador of Germany to Switzerland, he sits in Bern. It's a bilateral. He represents his country's interest here in Switzerland. So he goes and presents his credentials to the president of Switzerland, and he's been accredited. They call the extraordinary and plenipotentiary. This is the title for the ambassador. That means they are plenipotentiary, means all power is given to them to represent their nation, to sign treaties and all. So it's
a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. So that's bilateral. But here we have multilateral diplomacy. That means, as I said, they have the United Nations. There are also the governmental organizations and many NGOs and so on. So the ambassadors who represent here in Geneva, they are called the permanent representatives. And they are ambassadors to the United Nations and to the international organizations. You see? So that is 193 countries. It's a big responsibility as well, more so for the bilaterals. I don't want to get into this argument, but the ambassadors here have enormous pressure. Especially they're dealing with so many issues, world issues, human rights, and conference on disarmament, and several other things that comes with it.
But at the end of the day, just to clarify, Global Leadership Geneva Bern is working in both of those spaces.
Both of those spaces. And we have in 15 countries already. Yeah, already in 15 countries. We call Christian Embassy in other countries. And we call it Global Leadership. In India, you call it FLAG, Foundation for Leadership and Governance. And many other countries has it. But we started here in 2008 in Geneva, and then later on in Bern.
So from 2008, an Indian couple here in Switzerland, starting Global Leadership Geneva Bern, thinking ahead now, so it's already grown from that to be what it is today. You said 15 countries, majoring here in Geneva and also in Bern. What would be your dream though for the next 5 years? What would you like to see happen with this organization?
The world is looking for answers. Literally. You can name some of those issues that's happening around the world. You see the problems, you see the challenges, and so many things that's happening. Secularism is one thing, individualism, all those things, that's a big problem that we see, which I come back to it later. But
we'll come back to that.
I will come back to that. But what is so important is that I would say two things. What is the role of the church in a city like this or any place? For me personally, I think a church that is here in Geneva, we have a lot of churches. If the church does not make a local impact on the community that they're living in, something deeply wrong with that church. So we need to question, what is it? You see, God has called us to be salt and light of the, on this earth. Salt is the silent witness of influence, and light is the visible manifestation of God's love and power. And we're called to be the lighthouse. And I believe that church is neither the head of the state nor the servant, but it is called to be the conscience of the state, the voice. So we are losing the voice. So I would say in 5 years, the voice is regained. In a way, it's not just, I'm not elevating the churches here. I'm telling about our mandate, why we are called here on this earth, that we be the voice. People are crying. Nations are crying. And we think that we have the answers, but how do you translate those answers into policies and practices that can be applied? You see, that is what it's important. I want to see, first of all, the churches being transformed. And they need to get a vision for the local community. I'm not saying just for the, for the diplomatic community per se, but literally, I mean, there are many ambassadors who are going to churches. What are they offered mostly? Why don't you come and sit in our finance committee? Why don't you sit and, mission committee? No, we need to intentionally train people. I'm talking about my kind as a Christian, to know what are we called for and what are we supposed to do and what kind of influence and how are we to walk this narrow way on this earth to be a salt and light and to be a redeeming influence for His glory. This is what I want to see in the next 5 years. Because, of course, God is God. He will have His way. But we have really, somehow, Jesus said, nobody lights the lamp and put a bucket on it. We have successfully done that and kept the light inside. We need to let the light shine. And that has to come in a graceful way, in a beautiful way. That's one thing.
Okay.
The second thing.
Okay.
The second thing, the passions flowing.
Yes. The second thing I really want to see, there is a verse in the Bible that says, blessed is the nation whose Lord is their God. I'm envisioning of these leaders who come, that we will be able to relate with them more and offer them more, that they can go back to their countries to bring about a change. This is a beautiful thing. When I see, or Jesse and I, we see an ambassador, we don't just see them as only as an individual person. They are an individual person, but through their eyes, we see the whole country that they come from. So we want to really bring as many as possible to Christ and His truth, and they can go back to their country and make a difference. So that's a great vision that we have, and God is working and helping us in this way.
Amazing. Can I just ask practically, do you have a particular project or a particular event that you would love to see happen that hasn't happened yet?
Well...
Sorry, just a really practical, I don't know.
Sure. We, I would say it happened.
Okay, it has happened.
The vision has been achieved.
The good thing is that you both were part of it. The institute,
amazing. Yeah.
Because this is something that is really put in place.
Yeah.
This is a vision for 25 years. Has come into, of course, we were part of another organization that we worked together for the Policy Institute, but now we have this Global Leadership Institute that serves, for the young leaders emerging and established, all three coming together. And how this would grow and shape nations is something of a bigger dream that I have. But there are many small things as well, but that's our small
Just clarify again what the institute is.
Global Leadership Institute is run by Global Leadership Geneva Bern. It's an institute that we run every year here in Geneva, just around the corner, very close to the UN, for 1 week program that we invite leaders from everywhere, all parts of the world. They come. We keep it to a minimum of now, I would say 50, that's a maximum that we can, because we want to keep it in a style where they can really learn and grow. It's a 1 week program. We do have 3 days program and also 1 week program that happens once a year here in Geneva. And we follow up with them on Zoom and so on.
And Benji, you've made it very clear in this discussion that you think the Christian worldview should be influencing not only this diplomatic world that you live in, but the dignity and value of each human being as the foundation for moral values.
It's your heaven, sir.
This is my heaven. This is one of the reasons why we're in Geneva. Bonjour. Hello.
I
We are
will.
here to try your chocolate.
Yeah. I'll try the hazelnut one, please.
Nice.
Oh, really? Thank you. All right.
I'm looking to try a dark chocolate.
That's
Yeah. What is the best dark chocolate that you recommend? Merci beaucoup. Almond? The test? C'est bon. Très bon. So I think that if we fuel up on some amazing Swiss chocolate that
you
I
can't
can't
get
get
into.
open. Come on, Switzerland.
All right. What? I was just gonna. All right. Cheers. Okay. Nope. She's too keen for it. Cheers.
It's already gone. Disappeared. So another bite, and then we head to the old city.
Sounds good. The church, cathedral.
Off to Pierre Cathedral.
All right. Well, this has to sustain me all day.
This has been a success.
Yeah. Let's see how long yours lasts.
After we visited the old city, don't even check.
My prediction is that it won't last long.
Disappeared.
All right. Let's go. Oh man, Sarah, I thought you said no hiking.
This is our new hike. We're going to climb the old city.
You said we weren't going to the Alps.
I know. This is the surprise hike of the day.
Sorry, I'm distracted by the shops.
Stay away from the jewelry shops.
Chocolate, coffee, jewelry.
Do you know how expensive Switzerland is? We are totally going to have to look up the average wage, because how on earth would you afford to live in a place like this?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Bon après-midi. Nous sommes dans Vielville.
I have no idea what she just said, but hello, we are in the old town of Geneva.
A couple of tourists, one from Northern Ireland, one from Australia,
And
both based in the UK.
it's true, I haven't actually flown from Australia just to Geneva for this.
Who are now finding themselves in the old town of Geneva. And I've managed to bribe Tara all the way to the top of the hill through coffee.
Yeah, we know that I will definitely walk for coffee, chocolate, sightseeing, pretty mountains, something like that.
The good thing though is we've already made it to one of our key sites, because behind me is the birthplace of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who in the 18th century was born in this house. And he's just such an influential French philosopher. He influenced the Enlightenment era. He influenced social contract theory. He's someone that even influenced the French Revolution and thought about these ideas of what establishes a good political authority. And so for someone obsessed with philosophy, bit of a dream to be outside his house here in Geneva. And we're going to keep on our hike.
Finding some more sites. No more hiking, are
More
we?
hiking.
Yeah, all right.
Let's go.
And this is the oldest house in Geneva.
Yeah, I think it's now a museum. If you want to see what a typical medieval house in Geneva would have looked like, you can take yourself in here. Maison Tavel.
Oh, it's actually really pretty in there.
Is it?
Please, everyone, Dad.
And run away. After all our hiking in the old town and multiple coffees on Tara's part, we have eventually made it to one of the key landmarks in Geneva, Pierre Cathedral.
So there was a religious building on this site since the 4th century, but the building that we see here today was initially constructed in the 11th century. It's undergone multiple different transformations and collapses and all sorts of interesting things throughout its history. But I think we're going to take a look inside soon anyway.
We are, and we're going to see that this former Catholic cathedral later became the church of the famous reformer John Calvin. It is here where he was housed, he was welcomed in, he preached. We're going to see that, we're going to see where he sat and where he taught.
So you're saying this church became a Protestant church?
It did.
There you go.
Let's
Very
go.
cool. Let's go have a look.
Yeah. So here we are at Calvin's famous wooden chair.
Doesn't look very comfortable.
It doesn't, but he was committed to his preaching, and this is exactly where he preached from the pulpit just behind you.
Very cool.
And in fact, he preached over 4,000 sermons here in Geneva.
Sarah, as a public speaker, how would you feel about 4,000 sermons?
4,000 sermons. But yeah, to the reformers, that was central. Preach the word, keep scripture central, make sure the public understands the key doctrines of the faith.
Very cool.
And we want to take an aerial view of this beautiful landmark into seeing more of Geneva itself.
You mean we're going up?
We're going up.
All right.
It's a bit of hiking time, hopefully.
Okay. This will cost you another coffee.
How freaky are these doors?
That's not freaky, that's so cool.
We're gonna get stuck up here.
No, we're not.
We have the victory. We made it to the top.
Ah, yes.
And very worth it when you see a rainbow right in the middle of the water jet.
That is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's just so nice to see it from the aerial view.
Yeah, you realize how big that jet really is, too.
Yeah.
Standing up here compared to the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And after we finish sightseeing in the Old Town, we continue the conversation with Jessie Benjamin, who tells us all the ways in which Global Leadership Geneva Bern supports the diplomats.
So the way we come alongside them is that, they are so busy. Actually, they work just like how I used to work during my corporate days, So even in weekends, they're working because most important decisions that actually impacts all over the world, people everywhere. It's actually made here in Geneva. Of course, many things are signed off there in New York, but Geneva is a working base, which is very, very intense. So what we do is when ambassadors come here, they are staying in this post for 3 to 4 years. Okay, so they are moving places very often. We go, we visit them, we tell them what our organization does. And I told you that we are serving them professionally and spiritually. So it means that we are a faith-based organization, and we are an organization that is grounded in the Judeo-Christian values. So we go meet these ambassadors, we tell them what we are there doing. We offer many different events for the ambassadors. There is no lack of events for them here in Switzerland, in Geneva, but our events are very different. It's about, coming alongside them, bringing values that can actually liberate them, as well as help them to look at the problems that are discussed here at the United Nations and the nations face from a very different perspective, which is from the perspective of faith, knowing God. So we have seen people of other worldview who do not believe in a creator God or a God who is eternally existing, acknowledging, the creator God, because that worldview actually completely changes the way you function, the way you see others, the way you look at problems, the way you see challenges. One of the commandments in the Bible is to love our neighbors, actually. Love our neighbors as we love ourselves, So it's sometimes very difficult to do that, but if we know that how much we are being loved and we are able to love them very unconditionally. So these are very nice things that they have learned, and some of them, they are being very strengthened in their faith, and because of this, they were able to make better decisions, So we definitely see the impact, and many of them gain more confidence. Some of them actually got a little bit stress-free because they could understand that a lot of things are not in their control. Okay, there is a higher power, who is in control of that, you see. So that actually liberates you. But at the same time, I have to tell you that personally for me and my husband, we will not be able to do this work if it is not for my faith, actually, in Jesus Christ. If I had not known what Christ had done for me, I would never be able to do it, because it stretches us a lot, actually. Yes. We sacrifice a lot. But thankfully, we have a family that is very understanding, and we have people around who actually stay alongside us, but we will not be able to do it with our own strength. No. We don't see it doing,
Next on the agenda is a conversation with our very special guest. But before that, we had one more site to visit.
Well, we are here at the Reformation Wall in Geneva, a wall that was built in the 20th century to commemorate the 400th anniversary of John Calvin's birth. So Sarah, who are all these statues about, and can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so the Reformation is such a central part of the Genevan Old Town history. The first statue that you'll see is that of Guillaume Farel. He was the first to preach the Reformation here in Geneva. We then have John Calvin, as you've been saying. He is being commemorated for his influence in the Reformation. And then beside him, we have Theodore de Beze, who is the successor of John Calvin here in Geneva. And the last statue is that of John Calvin's friend, who is John Knox over in Scotland, and he was the first to establish the Presbyterian Church in Scotland. And I think we can all agree that this wall is massive. It is so dramatic, almost as dramatic as I am.
It's a big statement, Sarah, but yes, it is much bigger than life size. But Sarah, you'll notice there's something else in the middle of these four statues as well. There's a very prominent symbol in there. I think you said it was a Christogram, but what is a Christogram and what is this one?
So a Christogram is a symbol that captures a significance within the Christian faith. And with this wall, the Christogram is a Latinized, abbreviated form of the Greek word Jesus, and that's what the symbol is capturing in the middle of the Reformation wall. But yeah, it's so fun, so dramatic, capturing such a significant part of history that if you come to Geneva, make sure you come to the Old Town, check out the cathedral, check out the square, but make sure you also come to the Reformation Wall.
Well, it is pretty big, so you probably won't miss it if you come to this part of the town.
You will not miss it.
And just like that, the time was now upon us for our third and final conversation with our very special guest inside of a United Nations building.
We are absolutely delighted to be in a UN building with a special guest, Alex Mejia. Alex is an international civil servant. He has worked at senior levels of government and international organizations. He is a career diplomat currently based in Geneva, working at the UN in a senior role. He's also a co-founder of the United Nations Christian Association, and he is joining us today in a personal capacity to share his insights and story. Alex, it is so nice to see you this morning.
My pleasure indeed.
We've been capturing the story of Global Leadership Geneva Bern, an organisation that you've been friends with for many years. And we're also here to discuss the question, what is the foundation for human moral values. You have an amazing story from Ecuador to Geneva and many other places in between and many roles in between. Some people might think we live in a broken world, wars are increasing, the problems are increasing. Can you help us to understand why working for a UN organization is important despite the problems we see?
It has to be important because there is no other organization like the United Nations. This is an organization that I love. Today I'm not speaking, as I say, and I need to emphasize on behalf of it, but just as a regular citizen, as a regular person. There is a book from the 90s by the great Paul Kennedy. The book is called Parliament of Men. Hundreds of pages about what is the UN, United Nations reform, the role and mandate, the governance, the member states govern us. It's not us who govern ourselves, right? And with several criticisms, it comes to one conclusion.
Yes.
This book, highly respected by every diplomat that I know. The conclusion is that if the United Nations didn't exist, humanity will need to create another one. Okay. Exactly the same, with the same ideals, purpose, and mandate. 1945, the end of the Second World War, the victors in the war came together even before, in the middle of the Atlantic, in a meeting of presidents and prime ministers. The concept of a United Nations came to be that one concept of the Allies that then became this organization, 24 October 1945, right after the end of the Second World War, is when we started our lives. And I mentioned this moment and the relevance of the UN because the relevance of the UN today, 80 years later, because we are governed by our own constitution. It's called the UN Charter. If you go to that document and you read it, you need to understand that was created by people of many faiths, but with these central tenets, these central principles that are very much Christian, of peace, of taking care of the needy and the orphan and the widow, of the migrant and the refugee, and bringing progress, today we call it sustainable development, to the peoples of the world. So the UN remains relevant today, and for any regular person, as I was before even being a diplomat, I always wanted to contribute to that and to try to make a difference beyond, sorry for saying this, but it's important, beyond making money, beyond having a successful career. Yeah. You have to forgive me if you are listening, but my first decade of professional life, I was a banker and I was making a lot of money. But I decided that that wasn't enough. So this is why the next 2 decades I have invested in public service. Thank you.
You still believe in the UN and the public doesn't see a lot of the achievements made?
I'm planning to retire soon, but when I go, I will continue to be a firm believer in this organization that I love because it has a role today in this convoluted society that we have. But we have a problem indeed, as you imply. The vast majority of people know little about the UN. Governments do. Yes. But I always tell my teams in Geneva and beyond, you are preaching to the choir, as the phrase says, because government already know who we are and what we do and what is our mandate and so on and so forth. We need to preach. We need to deliver a better message to the rest of the people, to everyone in society, young and old, rich and poor, developed or developing nation, men or women, whatever it is. If you are a member of society, you do care for your own well-being and for that of your country. We call it nation state or member state. Our member states seek peace. I don't know any member state that throughout its history loved war so much that was defined by war. Yeah. There are countries that engage into conflict because they believe they have to, or that leaders believe so, but the ulterior motive of a human being, wherever it is peace. You just want to live in peace. You want to have certain securities. You don't want to have certain fears, and you need an organization like this and several other international organizations that are mandated to deliver that for you. In this particular case at the UN, under the guidance and the decision making of member states. We don't make the decisions, we implement them.
I think that's really interesting, and like you've said that, fundamentally we're seeking peace and, security and having no fear and child rights and things like that. But if we're all working towards the same goal, if we all have that end sight in mind, does it actually make a difference working for the United Nations what worldview you come from?
I think so. I think so because I must clarify something. I love everyone of whatever faith and belief that you have. I'm mandated to do so, not only by my creator, but also by the rules and regulations of the organization that I represent. And today I'm not speaking on behalf of the organization, but I am the same human being at the office or outside. And as a human being, going back to what you say, I think that faith plays a critical role here.
Yeah.
And you can be Hindu or Muslim or Christian. I believe in the power of interfaith dialogue. It's a mighty powerful tool to come together and find common ground. And when we engage in interfaith dialogue, so when we can advance the work of this organization, it's pretty critical to understand that interfaith dialogue is not a wishy-washy process in which I'm trying to convince you to think what I believe. That will defeat the purpose. The whole point is to respect what you believe, and hopefully that you also respect what I believe, but then that we find common ground. And I guarantee you that that common ground will have to involve peace. To your point, peace remains a top priority for humanity. Peace remains elusive. In the last decade, the number of conflicts has increased so dramatically, including in Europe, after 7 decades of peace after the Second World War. People wouldn't believe it, but Ukraine is in Europe. And we have a war here in Geneva, in Switzerland, that you can drive to. It's just a few hours from here. So peace is tantamount, but at the same time difficult to maintain.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very clear from what you've already said about your story and how you've expressed this objective truth that you see in Christianity. But some of our viewers might maybe come back at that and say, well, can we not reason to those values? Can we not see the goal of peace and work our way towards that? Because of course we'd want that. Why do we need the Christian worldview to do what we can achieve purely through human reason?
In an ideal utopian world, everyone has emotional intelligence enough to come and do what you described to me. But that's not reality, unfortunately. Reality is that because life principles define a person, and life principles, faith influence life principles, of course. Life principles define a political leader. That people, the people in charge of making decisions, unfortunately, sometimes will find ways to accommodate truth to whatever it is, their agenda that they believe they should follow. And everyone is a rational actor, So when some people tell me, no names to be named, oh, this person is a bully, he's so arrogant, he's a prima donna, he's a political leader and shouldn't be there, I always have 2 reactions. Number 1, was he democratically elected? So we better shut up. And second, what is it that defines that person? Because he's a or she is a rational actor. As a rational actor, he or she
What does that term mean?
Rational actor means that you reason leads you to believe things and then affects your behavior.
Okay.
So you do have a rationale, a reasoning that says, this is what I must do.
Yes.
And let me go back to truth, which is your question. You tend to see your truth based on that. So if we need to understand how political leaders behave and make decisions, unfortunately, truth more and more seems to be relative, shaped by who you are, your tenets and principles for life, your faith or lack thereof, and so on. Then you say, this is the truth. And then you go with it and you make decisions with it. But I'm simply saying that truth is not something that you can accommodate according to what you want. Truth, the example that I use, is day or night. You just look around, the facts. What's the phrase in English? You are entitled to your opinion, but not to your own facts. Facts are facts. However, today, truth is wishy-washy.
Well, Sarah, after spending a day inside a UN building, which was a pretty amazing opportunity for us, there are so many incredible organisations in this area that we could come and visit. But as a pharmacist working in global health, obviously I've brought you to one of my favourite ones, which is the World Health Organization. So WHO is a UN agency focused on promoting health. So the WHO leads global efforts in expanding universal health coverage, responding to health emergencies, and promoting healthier lives. So the world looks to WHO, and even in my own profession as a pharmacist, I also look to WHO guidelines and policies and protocols to inform my work as well. So it's pretty cool standing here.
So amazing for you to be here.
Yep.
The light is fading and we want to go everywhere.
Running out of daylight.
But I'm glad that you brought me here because I can see how much excitement that you have to be here.
Yeah.
And now I think, as our time budget has left us, that it's time to do some reflecting on what our guests have said.
Yeah, it's been a big 3 days, but maybe if we stick to the rule of 3. So we've had this common number throughout this trip. 3 days, 3 sites to see, 3 people interviewing. Let's do maybe 3 reflections between us.
Yes, so I think what stands out to me from our guests is this acknowledgement that there is for other worldviews, for people who have other beliefs that work in these spaces and the good things that they do and the friendships that they've formed. But I think what has stood out to me is how our guests have brought us on that journey of seeing through their stories why the Christian worldview goes beyond just reasoning our way to somewhere, that we're made in God's image, designed by Him, loved by Him, and being drawn into that story is such a powerful explanation as well as motivation for wanting to love your neighbour and for wanting to come into the hardest places and share that light. But I will also acknowledge, because I know that our viewers listening into some of those conversations will want the nuances acknowledged, because in meta-ethics there are different ways that atheists would explain where morals do come from. There's different frameworks for how the reason can make sense of why we do what we do. And I think moving forward into the series, as we go back to the UK, I think we want to keep that conversation going, keep the debate going, and deal with some of those nuances as the conversation continues.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to hear what other people say about that too and see where the conversation goes with all of those different opinions.
And for you?
And for me, I think it was mostly encouragement. So I think, obviously, as someone who is working in a practical space, I think sometimes there is a perception that, like we kind of asked some of our guests, like it feels like you're fighting a never-ending battle sort of thing. There's conflicts, there's climate change, there's pandemics, all of that. And what is it, like, as Christians, should we be in this space, or should we be being in full-time ministry, or what should we be doing? But as our guest kind of said, like, there is an important space for Christians in this practical work. And I think that has been a real encouragement to me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Tara, but for me, the third one is the humility of our guests.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because how cool was it today to speak to a senior diplomat of the UN in a UN building, and yet to see yeah, just this passion for people, his love for people, his groundedness, and even the way, you know, he walked around his office greeting people.
He was so excited to show
Yeah.
us.
And it just really stood out to me as
Yeah.
well with Global Leadership Geneva Bern that
Yes.
there's just this heart for people.
Yeah.
And that humility is something I'm going to take away.
Yeah, and I think something from what Benji actually said to us about how it's about building a friendship and building a trust with people first and foremost. And I think that really is something that we've seen everyone who we've interviewed here do, is they're so invested in the people that they're meeting and the friendships that they make above promoting their own ambitions and things like that. And I think that's, yeah, a real true testament to their love for Christ and just living a servant life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been an amazing trip.
And thank you for coming on the journey with us to Geneva. We've been here to explore the story of Global Leadership Geneva Bern. And we also got to meet a senior diplomat of the UN here in a UN building. We hope you will enjoy those conversations. And we want to keep the debate and the thinking and the ideas and the questions going, as well as the practical space and seeing the work on the ground. See you soon.
All of the full conversations will be available on our podcast, so stay up to date as we delve deeper into this Series 1 question about human moral values.